Welcome to Tax File. I am Laure Bala Hassan. On today's episode, we bring you the latest headlines and major developments defining the nation's evolving tax landscape. We'll also take you through Did You Know, a quick but revealing segment packed with practical tax facts and important compliance tips. Then we step beyond the studio in Vox Pop, capturing the honest opinions of Nigerians on the tax issues making headlines. In the Knowledge Zone, we break those issues down further, providing clarity and context. Our Professional Insight segment features experts and industry leaders offering informed analysis, practical guidance, and solutions to today's most pressing tax concerns. And later on What's on the Net, we spotlight conversations happening across social media, your questions, reactions, and perspectives. This is Tax File. And now, the news. The Nigeria Revenue Service says it has recovered over 80 billion naira from illicit financial flows within a 3 to 5 year period as part of intensified efforts to strengthen tax compliance, curb capital flight, and improve transparency in the financial system. The service is also calling on private sector operators, including companies and professional service providers, to enhance due diligence and play a more active role in protecting the integrity of Nigeria's revenue ecosystem. Evelyn Shija has the reports.
The disclosure was made by the head of Anti-Graft and Law Enforcement Liaison at the Nigeria Revenue Service, Idris Abdullahi, during a sensitization program for corporate organizations in Lagos, organized by the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. He said the recovery was largely achieved through voluntary compliance measures before enforcement actions were introduced. Abdullahi also highlighted the Voluntary Offshore Assets Regularization Scheme (VOARS), introduced through a presidential executive order in 2018, which allowed taxpayers to declare previously undisclosed offshore assets in exchange for a one-time levy and relief from prosecution and tax audits on declared funds. He warned that illicit financial flows remain a major threat to Nigeria's economy and urged businesses and professionals to support efforts aimed at improving transparency and reducing capital flight while stressing the need for stronger collaboration between the public and private sectors.
To standardize operating processes and procedures and align functions across field offices service-wide, especially in view of the recent tax reforms and changes, as well as to mitigate the risk of revenue loss through errors and inefficiencies associated with workflow and document management, the Field Operations Monitoring Department has organized a Standard Operations Processes and Procedures Review Workshop. Mariam Julde Adura, who covered the workshop for Tax File, reports that participants were drawn from across various offices, departments, and locations within the service to have the buy-in of all stakeholders.
A lot has changed in our process. It covers our tax payer registration, the audit, the investigation, having this electronic invoicing, even Rec 360, a new software application to drive tax collection. We're talking now that we do royalty, incentives, areas of mining, and all the chairman and the Minister of Solid Mineral just signed an MOU. And then, of course, the law, how it's applied, how all those things. So those things have changed, and because those things have changed, we need to have a process that is standardized. We're having a whole lot of new responsibilities. So this is the moment for us, and like I said, this is a lot of history making.
The Chief of Staff to the Executive Chairman, Mr. Nta Akure, there, commending the leadership of the Field Operations Monitoring Department on the timely review workshop of the Standard Operations Processes and Procedures, considering the current scope of reforms and expectations of the service. He stressed the need for customers to have the same experience service-wide, and thus the need for the standardization and harmonization of procedures, inviting more suggestions on the processes. Executive Directors, Policy Compliance, Mr. Shetima Tamadi, and that of Finance and Corporate Services, Mr. Mohammed Abubakar, congratulated organizers of the review workshop, which highlights their commitment to move the service forward.
It is an opportunity for all of us here to bring our various experience, right? The background we've had or the current roles we play, right? To bear on the exercise at hand.
Let us champion the principles of efficiency, transparency, and accountability in all our endeavors. Together, we can transform our operational landscape, build a robust tax system, and ensure a prosperous future for Nigeria. Once more, it is important to appreciate the effort of the organizers who show dedication and commitment to excellence in our revenue service.
They urged the deliberately chosen participants to make contributions in view of their vast wealth of experiences, noting that the SOP not only enhances organizational efficiency, but ensures credibility of practices and processes, enhances operational efficiency, interaction with customers, optimizes resource allocation, as well as promotes transparency and accountability.
As we navigate the complexity of tax administration in Nigeria, we must recognize the vital role that well-defined procedures play in achieving our objectives. Standard field operating procedures serve as backbone of our operations, governing how we engage with taxpayers, conduct assessment, and ensure compliance.
Director of Field Operations Monitoring Department, Mr. Alfred Peters, said the workshop became necessary in order to standardize processes, procedures, and practices across all Nigeria Revenue Service field offices nationwide to mitigate the risk of revenue loss through errors and inefficiencies, which afterwards will be monitored closely to ensure strict compliance.
The objective of overhaking this initiative is to maintain standardization of processes, procedures, and practices across field offices to mitigate the risk of revenue loss through errors, inefficiencies associated with workflow and document management. SOP clearly set out the objectives, policies, procedures, documentation, and key performance indicator for each key function in the field offices for uniformity of treatment implementation. It is predicted on the principle that where there are no agreed standards, acceptable quality cannot be guaranteed.
Organizers and participants at this session were delighted that it is aimed at providing an avenue for the expression of concerns, feedback, and additional recommendations.
The laws have changed. A lot of our responsibility is changing or has changed. The scope of our responsibility has also changed. So there is a lot that we need to come back to look at the processes, see how they work today, document them, and put the procedures to engage our customers together.
The responsibility was saddled to the Field Operation Monitoring Department to embark and prepare a document that will guide all offices across the nation. So this document was drafted. It has gone through series of review. And at this workshop, we are trying to put some finishing touches to this document.
It's a welcome development. It's for us to update our knowledge on our new tax laws and also the process within the service so that we have uniform procedures all through our offices.
When there's a workflow process that has been adopted, it is sacrosanct that we all know about it, practice it as it is should be practiced to ensure, apart from uniformity, ensure productivity.
Before we came in here, we had just 14 SOPs in the system, but as at today, we have gone through 21 of them. We have new ones that were exposed during the workshop.
The essence of all these things drives some benefit. One of them is the revenue increase, reducing in the risk of losing revenue. Then issue that has to do with corruption.
The essence of this workshop, that is for uniformity in our operation, and everybody, we are all stakeholders. So there should be that ownership. That is why you see that across the service, everybody has been invited. They've all participated actively, and we thank God for the success of this.
The SOP review workshop became necessary in view of the recent tax reforms to standardize processes and procedures within the service for optimal service delivery to customers and the nation at large.
The executive chairman of the Nigeria Revenue Service, Zak Adedeji, has emphasized the importance of strategic partnerships with key operators in the oil and gas sector as part of efforts to strengthen Nigeria's revenue base and support national economic development. He made this known during a working visit by a delegation from Total Energies EP Nigeria Limited to the headquarters of the service in Abuja. Evelyn Shija has the reports.
The delegation, led by Matthew Buye, Managing Director and Chief Executive of Total Energies upstream companies in Nigeria, engaged with the NRS on areas of mutual interest with a focus on sustaining compliance and improving efficiency in tax administration within the sector. The Nigeria Revenue Service acknowledged Total Energies' consistent record of compliance with statutory obligations, describing it as vital to maintaining a stable and predictable fiscal environment for national planning and development. Discussions during the visit centered on strengthening collaboration between both institutions, enhancing compliance processes, and aligning with ongoing reforms aimed at building a more transparent, technology-driven, and investment-friendly tax system.
And that's a wrap on the news segments. Let's join Mariam on the Vox Pop segments.
Hello and welcome to the segment. My name is Mariam Julde Adura, and today we will be enlightening you about penalties for failure to disclose facts of a dutiable instrument under the new tax law. Come. We want to find out what the penalties are for failure to disclose facts of a dutiable instrument under the new tax law.
Under the new tax law, that is NTA and NTAA, the penalty for failure to disclose dutiable instruments is 100,000 naira fine, or if convicted, 50,000 naira fine, or a time of imprisonment of 3 years or less, or both.
They include 100,000 naira fine, on conviction 50,000 naira, or not less than 3 years imprisonment, or both.
So penalty for failing to disclose facts under a dutiable instrument include 100,000 naira, or on conviction 50,000 naira, or 3 years, not less than 3 years imprisonment, or both.
We'd like to find out what the penalties are for failure to disclose facts of a dutiable instrument under the new tax law.
Yes, the failure to pay or to file dutiable tax instrument is 100,000. On conviction is 50,000, or not less than 3 years imprisonment, or both.
The future of tax is here. Are you ready? This is Rev 360, a smarter way to manage your taxes. Better efficiency, stronger compliance, and improved taxpayers' experience. End-to-end automation, real-time processing, and seamless compliance. Now all on one intelligent platform. Secure and transparent, no stress, just fast, smooth compliance. Rev 360. This is the future. NRS. Together we rise. Together we prosper.
Did you know, in addition to paying the correct duty owed, failure to disclose facts in a dutiable instrument The offender is also liable to an administrative penalty. For more information, visit www.nrs.gov.ng.
Ashu Abe takes us on the Knowledge Zone.
Hello and welcome to Knowledge Zone, where we dive deeper into interesting conversations had on the streets. I remain your host, Ashu Abe. On today's episode, we'll be talking about failure to disclose facts in a dutiable instrument under the 2025 Tax Act. Under Section 111 of the Nigerian Tax Administration Act 2025, failure to disclose facts in a dutiable instrument occurs when a person fails, neglects, or omits to fully disclose all relevant facts and circumstances relating to a document subject to stamp duty or underpays the duty payable on the instrument. This offense is treated seriously because it can lead to loss of government revenue and improper assessment of stamp duties. The law provides, in addition to paying the correct duty owed, the offender is liable to an administrative penalty of 100,000 naira. Where the matter results in conviction by a court, the offender may also face a fine of 50,000 naira, imprisonment for a term not exceeding 3 years, or both the fine and imprisonment. Over to you, Laurie.
And now to our professional insight segments.
Okay, it's important to think beyond this because in NRS, which is the organization that the NRSA serves today, there are three key topic areas that are crucial for development. We have the tax faculty, we have the non-tax faculty, and we have the leadership faculty. Now, if you look at this breakdown, we know that 70 to 80% of the workforce are technical tax people, but guess what? They need to learn the details around tax, but beyond this around tax, they also need to learn productivity. They need to learn how to negotiate. They need to learn how to communicate. They need to learn how to write. So that forms the non-tax category. And guess what? As people grow in their careers, they begin to grow into leadership roles, where beyond tax management, they are managing people, right? And they need to have leadership capability, leadership skills, learn AI tools, learn things that will make them more productive and more effective. That's why we have these key faculties for learning, and the academy via this platform also makes learning available in each of those subject areas. So that's why. So what I find most exciting about this project is the fact that we are leading the charter for how public service training can be. The Nigerian Revenue Service Academy is pioneering the evolution of learning experience platforms and is showing the entire public service space how this can be done. Now, the beautiful thing with this is imagine for a second that an organization where maybe 5,000 out of 15,000 gets trained for about 40 hours every year transforms to an organization where the entire 15,000 workforce gets trained for over 80 hours in a year. That's a lot of learning, a lot of growth, a lot of possibilities and outcomes. Imagine the kind of transformation that can happen in that kind of organization. And imagine that we have a test case of 15,000 people to model this with. Imagine what happens to Nigerian public service generally when they begin to emulate this. For me, what excites me and what I see as key for this is the transformational effect this can have on the nation when this technology and this approach becomes embraced across public service. When we go live with this, what do we expect to see in the organization? We expect to see an organization on fire, literally on fire. People will be learning like you have never seen before. And not just for personal reasons, right? For competitive reasons, for visibility reasons, and for what is possible reasons from learning. The learnings are designed in such a way that they are stories. So they're very relatable, they're very retainable, and they're very practical. Now, once we start with the initial courses that we're kicking off with, which are general courses that everybody needs to learn, the next phase is blended, where every training starts from this digital platform and then goes into a physical setting. And once that is done, the third phase is when our sister department, the Learning and Innovation, bring out the LNAs, the Learning Needs Assessment, and understand what each department needs, what each unit needs. We're now able to design training that fits directly into the needs of people, and then we do it first from digital all the way to blended. It's going to be exciting and explosive. So watch out for explosions in the weeks to come. So for Nigerians watching out there and for NRS staff, I'll say that this is an opportunity for us all to be a part of something that can become an example nationwide. This is an opportunity for us to participate in something, right, that has the capacity to truly transform this institution. I believe that the biggest investment any organization can make is in its workforce. And this is an investment in learning and development. And this investment is going out to all the people in NRS. And everybody who is looking at this should realize that not only are we standing at the edge of change as NRS, I believe Nigeria is standing at the edge of change for all of Africa and the world as well. So the takeout here is, I am part of something exciting. Be a champion for this, be an ambassador for this, be a hero for this. Let's do this together.
The future of tax is here. Are you ready? This is Rev 360, a smarter way to manage your taxes. Better efficiency, stronger compliance, and improved taxpayers' experience. End-to-end automation, real-time processing, and seamless compliance. Now all on one intelligent platform. Secure and transparent, no stress, just fast, smooth compliance. Rev 360. This is the future. NRS. Together we rise. Together we prosper.
Over now to Swateku for what's on the net.
Good day and welcome to What's on the Net. My name is Joyce Swateku. Ohis is asking, will the Tax Pro Max stop working? One would think that instead of a new platform, we get an improved one. At Ohis, yes, Tax Pro Max will continue to function. Rev 360 is designed to enhance and modernize the overall tax administration system, not to abruptly replace or disrupt existing taxpayer services. The transition is expected to be gradual, with efforts focused on improving efficiency, integration, and user experience, while maintaining continuity for taxpayers already using Tax Pro Max and other existing platforms. Kenny Bayo Paul is asking, at NRS, is TCC tax clearance certificate free? Please explain more for company owners to know. The tax clearance certificate TCC is free in Nigeria. Here is what you need. Register with a valid tax identification number TIN, file all required tax returns, pay any outstanding taxes. It is also important to know, no official fee is charged for TCC. Do not pay anyone for processing. Such charges are illegal. Apply only through the official tax portals. Over to you, Laurie.
And that concludes this episode of Tax File. We hope today's program has informed your perspective and strengthened your understanding of the role of taxation in national growth. Join the conversation on our social media platforms and share your thoughts with us. I am Laurie Bala Hassan. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and keep filing forward with Tax File. NRS, together we rise, together we prosper.